Alright, now let's talk about basic data type conversion. Now we can basically convert your data type from one data type to another data type. So just in case you want to convert from integer to float, you can do that, and like that. Now here it says convert between types using functions like integer function, float function, and string functions. So this is the integer function, this is the float function. I hope you can still remember what these things means: integer, float, and string. Now, and this is also the string function, right? Now, so this is how to convert your function from one your data type, I mean, from one to the other. So let's look at the code here. Let's try to understand it first. So now we have num string. Num string here is our variable, right? And this is the value, right? 1, 2, 3. Our num string is our variable, and this is the value 1, 2, 3. Then we now say num integer equals to what? Int num string. So we are trying to convert num integer to being a string. So it now says convert string to integer. So we are basically converting our string, this string that we have here, num string, we are converting it to an integer. That's why we have to put the int here, converting this to an integer. Also, we can as well say print num. Let's just run this and have a full understanding of how it works. So now we have just as I explained, num string. Num string is our what? Is a variable, and the value that is given to it is 1, 2, 3. So now we have num integer equals to int num string. So we are basically converting our string, this string here, to an integer. So we are converting this string to an integer. Then we now say print num integer plus 1. Do you understand now? So we haven't converted our string to an integer. Integer can either be a positive or a negative number, right? We are converting, we cannot add 1 to a string except we are concatenating the string, right? We are writing something like I am 1 year old, right? So that's concatenation. We talked about that earlier. But for this now, we want to add two integers together to make a whole number at the end of the day, not concatenate the string per se. So let's see what happens. So now we have 124 to be the machine's response. How do we end up having 124? Now we said the variable is 123. Then we are now with a string. I mean, it's a string, yeah, because num string is a string. So of course we cannot. So the computer sees this as a string, right? Not an integer. So it sees this as a string. So what we are going to do now is that we're going to convert the string to being an integer first. Because if we are not converting to being an integer, then we are actually concatenating. So we need to convert the string to being an integer. So we now say we are now going to give a value of num integer now to now say integer the variable that was used for the string. Do you understand now? So integer the variable that was used for the string. Now instead of using all of this, we can basically just say a to be our what? To be our string, right? Then we can now say b to be our integer. Now if we are saying b to be our integer and a to be our string, that means that here we have to change this to a or b. A. So we have to change this to a because this is the string that we are trying to convert to being an integer. That's why the int has to be here. Now having changed this to what? A, we also have to come back here and change this to what? B, because we are actually picking the print function is picking the command from B, not from A, because A is still a string, but B is where we convert it to being an integer. So having converted it to being an integer, then we can now add our number to it. I hope you understand. So A is a string, we cannot add 1. If we are adding 1, then we are concatenating it. But having converted our string to being an integer, then we can add 1 to have 124. So rather than adding 1, we can now add 10. So let's add 10. Sorry, let's take out the string. Let's take out the comments. All right, I won't take out the comments. Let's run the code and let's see. Now we have 133 because we just added 10 to our integer. So it just follows a sequential process. It's following a sequential process from the first step being a string, then we converted it to an integer, then from integer we added another integer to it. Thank you for tuning in to this